nobody wants to build a stone threshold, and I will tell you why, GG. Because it is boring! Hey guys, I have a video here from Dreamcore that is called The Biggest Winners and Losers of Patch 0.2.0, the Dawn of the Hunt. And of course, I wanna watch this video. Dreamcore makes good videos, good analysis, he knows a lot about the game. And I want to see what are the biggest winners and losers of the patch to have more contents about everything. So let's see what Dreamcore has to say in here, dude.
The patch notes for the Dawn of the Hunt update have finally arrived, and they're missing the most important information, the numbers on skill balance.
This is really true, because they did, like, the most important part of the patch is the one that they didn't announce, that they announced in just one line. And it is the line that said, we are changing the numbers on almost every ability, but those are too many to state in here because it is too much information. But in there is where we know if an ability is better or worse than before, right? So there are a lot of abilities that might have gotten a buff or a nerf, and we don't know. For example, one ability that might have gotten a buff, to say something, the Ballista. We don't know if the Ballista had a buff, right? So we will have to see. Dude, over 60% of you are not subscribed. Why are you like this? Just click the sub button, my dude. It is quick, it is easy, it is free. We have tons of fun over here. Just click the sub button, my dude.
They're also missing the new support gems, which we already knew about, but essentially what this means is that right now for starting builds, we have no idea what skills are going to be good.
Exactly.
But what we do know is that there are a bunch of very big changes confirmed that will shift the meta drastically. And in this video, I'll be discussing 3 of the biggest buffs and 3 of the biggest nerfs for Path of Exile 2's Dawn of the Hunt patch.
Okay.
Beginning with the nerfs.
Beginning with the nerf. Like 90% of the shit were nerfs, dude. And I love it, by the way. I love it.
Feast is no more. It's
Thank
gone.
God for that.
It's as simple as that.
All my homies hate the Spirit Shield. It is stupid that the Spirit Shield was the best fucking defense, and it is going to still probably be the best defense, but still, well, at least now you don't have Green Fist. Fuck a Spirit Shield. Why do I always say a Spirit Shield? It is Energy Shield, but at least we don't have Green Fist anymore, dude.
No nerfing the numbers, no reworking the skill. Grim Feast was literally that problematic in terms of completely destroying their philosophy of energy shield recovery being something that you need to solve. This will mean that energy shield based builds will now need to invest into recovery through means such as boosting energy shield recharge rate and making recharge begin faster. Because baseline recharge in PoE 2 is quite weak, only starting after 4 seconds of not taking any damage to energy shield and recovering a base of 12.5% of energy shield per second. Meanwhile, Ghost Dance is still alive, so energy shield evasion builds will still have great synergy in that regard, and
which is a disgrace! Fuck Ghost Dance too! Yeah, I want armor to be good, dude. What up? I want armor to be good. What is the problem? And the thing is that the 2 classes that I want to see the most are Druid and Templar, and they are hybrid strength intelligence, which means that defensively they would probably go for armor and energy shield. In that case, I would like energy shield, but if I can couple it with armor, but if I have to go full energy shield like a mage bullshit pussy, that is where I don't like it. But if I can go hybrid armor and energy shield, that is cool.
Energy shield in terms of how much of this resource you'll be able to obtain on the passive skill tree appears to be unchanged, so energy shield overall is still going to be very good. You'll just need to invest a reasonable amount to solve recovery this go around.
Nice, good. Mana stacking.
Next up in the biggest nerfs is mana stacking.
I love it. I love it. Fuck mana stacking. And mages and wizards. Man, I wish they had a paladin class. I wish too. And you know what? We will get it with the Templar. Maybe not named Paladin, which would be a missed opportunity, by the way. GG. If you ever watch this video, that you probably don't even know that I exist. But if you watch this video, GG, seize the opportunity to name one of the ascendancy classes for the Templar Paladin. You know why? Because you will create a big fuck you to Blizzard and to Diablo 4, because people have been asking them for a Paladin and they didn't release the Paladin. if you release the Paladin first, it will be fucking awesome. So seize the opportunity and name the Templar as one of the Templar ascendancies Paladin. Because I know that even if you don't name it Paladin, we will have the archetype of the Holy Warrior. Maybe they use a different name. I don't know. Crusader, Inquisitor, who knows? But what I mean is name it Paladin. Specifically name it Paladin. I've been craving a Paladin Templar for 84 years. Exactly. They have to seize that opportunity, dude. A lot of people want the Paladin. It will be a missed opportunity if they don't give the Templar the Paladin ascendancy, dude. PoE 1 somehow got a Paladin before Diablo 4. Exactly, with the Frisia League, dude. That was so fucking funny, dude. And they have to do it again with PoE 2.
Archmage and Stormweaver. These are all lumped together here because whilst the Archmage nerf in a vacuum is about 70% less extra damage on the average mana stacking endgame build, which is around about what was expected, I think, the actual...
The fact that you will have less mana also nerfs Archmage, right? So even if Archmage was not directly nerfed, it is still nerfed by the fact that you will have less mana. But on top of that, they are nerfing it too. Nice. It is music to my ears, dude.
The extent of nerfs to those builds is far greater than that. And this is because of a combination of nerfs compiling together. For example, Archmage now causes a higher mana cost, while Eldritch Battery now doubles mana cost, which is absolutely insane. You need so much more mana recovery now on these builds to make up for those mana cost increases. Meanwhile, the amount of mana scaling available on the passive tree has been cut down massively. There was a total of 24% increased maximum mana on the passive tree, and after this update...
By the way, guys, Ingenuity was heavily nerfed, but I still think Ingenuity will be the best belt in the game, unless they release a new unique belt that is better. Because I am trying to think about the current belts that we have in the game. Ingenuity is still better, dude. Ingenuity is still better. If I get an Ingenuity with 2 charm slots and with no negative reduces to charms gains, people don't even care about that shit even. And I get a good roll on both rings, like a 25. Let's say 25 and 25. It is still better than anything else you can get in a belt, dude. Ingenuity is still going to be very good, dude. Not as insane as before, but still very good. Like, you will have to get a very good rare belt for that belt to be better than Ingenuity. Or that they are releasing a new unique belt that is also better.
This will be dropped to just 15%. And then, of course, you have the Stormweaver specific nerfs. You'll have less mana overall as a result of the aforementioned changes, and this ascendancy now gains 1% increased Arcane Surge effects per 25 maximum mana instead of per 15. So that's a huge amount of Arcane Surge scaling gone from the Stormweaver.
Yes.
On top of that, the extra exposure...
Good, because all my homies hate the Stormweaver and prefer Chronomancer. Charms are better now, though. Exactly, that makes it better for since charms are better now, that is better for Ingenuity, because now Ingenuity is giving you at least 1 slot for charms, and it can give you 2. And if you roll it right, it won't be negative in the charges gain. It can be negative, but it goes to the positive side. It is just the roll, you know. You have to get a good roll.
From Scouring Winds has been lowered from 20% to just 12%, and the double shock node now has 25% less shock magnitude as a downside on the notable, making it much harder to inflict powerful shocks. If that wasn't enough, the maximum mana small nodes on this ascendancy are gone, replaced with mana regeneration rate instead.
Nice!
These changes alone are a huge nerf to mana stacking as a base archetype, but in terms of actual builds, Spark itself was also massively nerfed, firing half as many projectiles overall, including the quality change.
I hate the Spark.
And the third biggest nerf in Dawn of the Hunt, attribute stacking.
And before you say any shit that I am... Oh, you are saying that because they nerf another build. Now they are getting into a stat stacker. My main character with which I cleared all the content in the game was a stat stacker. And I always told you, this has to be nerfed because it is an abomination that this build exists. So yes, I am happy that they are nerfing a stat stacker, even if that was my character. Fuck that bill. It is stupid. Yes, it should be deleted. I am happy they are nerfing it. I am not a pussy that, oh, they are destroying my bill. That is pussy behavior.
Firstly, Hand of Wisdom and Action was nerfed by about 60% overall, with the added damage portion of these gloves now requiring twice as much intelligence, while the attack speed took a larger hit, going from 3% per 25 dexterity to 1% per 20. Meanwhile, Pillar of the Cage God scaling is being nerfed by about 50%, and add to this the massive nerf to Ingenuity, meaning a lot less attributes can be obtained from the ring.
I still think again that Ingenuity is going to be really good. The Pillar of the Cage God will probably be good for leveling builds still. I don't know if you guys know what Pillar of the Cage God was like the best leveling weapon this last season. And unless they introduce a new unique to replace it, I think that it will still be really good to for leveling.
Ring slots. And gear scaling for attribute stacking overall took a large but necessary hit. But gear isn't the only thing changing for this archetype. The passive tree was a huge source of increased attributes, and these nodes didn't escape the nerfs. Spaghettification no longer provides 7% increased attributes, instead granting plus 13 to all attributes, while Polymath is going from 10% increased attributes.
Which, by the way, the Polymathy nerf not only nerf stat stacker, it also nerfs us warrior enjoyers. I will tell you why. The majority of warrior enjoyers went with Polymathy because we needed a fuck ton of strength to get the dual wielding weapon. We can use it in one hand. The Giant's Blood. It requires triple the requirements for a weapon. We needed all the strength we could get to get a good weapon to be able to wield it in one hand. We were taking Polymathy for that. But now, people are going to still probably take it, but it is an indirect nerfs. Like they are nerfing stat stacking, but that is nerfing indirectly warriors that use Giant's Blood. Just so you know. Just so you know. By a little bit, not a huge amount, but it is a reality.
To 7%. There's also the attack speed scaling from Falcon Technique, which took a hit too. And then, of course, there's the Gemling Legionnaire. A major problem in terms of balance for attribute stacking.
Yep.
Well, Gemling didn't get away either. Enhanced Effectiveness, the notable which provides double inherent bonuses from attributes, now has the added downside of 20% less attributes. So while you'll be gaining more of those inherent bonuses from attributes than the other classes, you'll now likely have less total attributes overall, meaning less scaling from the attribute stacking items or the passive tree notables.
Which it is weird, like, who is going to take that shit now? It is worth it. You have to really think about it if it is worth it, dude. I don't know. It will present like a problem solving mathematically speaking in there to pick that node or not.
Those for Dawn of the Hunt were a total bloodbath, packed to the brim with nerfs. But there are a few jewels in the rough. Let's get to the biggest buffs. Now, one thing to mention here is that once again, we lack the most crucial information, the actual skill numbers. Many of the biggest buffs will be hidden in those changes, but we can only go on what we have right. So we're beginning the buffs with crossbows. Now, crossbows were a notable complaint from many.
And since I am a static tactician, thanks to the roulette, to the RNG, the roulette said that I have to play tactician. It is cool that crossbows are buffed.
In the early part of Path of Exile 2's launch. Aside from a few overperformers such as Gas Grenade, the skills felt incredibly undertuned overall. But in Dawn of the Hunt, crossbows are going to have their base damage ranges increased across the board. We don't know by how much, but this is surely a step in the right direction.
Yes,
on top of that, the added damage modifiers on crossbows will now use two-handed versions of these modifiers, the same ones that are used on two-handed maces.
Which to me is amazing that it wasn't like that in the first place. How did you not notice this? The crossbow is a two-handed weapon. If you buff damage for two-handed weapons in your tree, the crossbow's abilities get more damage because it is a two-handed weapon. But then the abilities, the item itself had the affixes for one-handed weapons. How did no one notice this shit? This is the stupidest shit I have ever heard in my life, dude. How did this happen in the first place? It should have never happened. Dude. And we didn't notice as players either. Did people notice this?
Or quarter staves, for example. I have no idea why that wasn't the case before, but there's another huge change to boost the potential damage of crossbows. There's also a very important bug fix in these patch notes. Fixed a bug where crossbow reload speed was not being affected by local attack speed modifiers on the crossbow itself. So even though the lowered reload speed was displayed on the crossbow as a result of the attack speed modifier, the actual change wasn't going through. So this is another giant buff. The fact that this wasn't...
Thank God for that. The guy balancing then looked at Tactician Art and said, yeah, these are one-handed. Yeah. Brother, yeah, because he's holding it with one hand. Hey, everybody is dreaming of the day that you can have two crossbows, one in each hand. Everybody wants that to happen. And we already have the 3 ascendancies for this motherfucker, for the mercenary, and not a single one of them did that. So they can do it maybe giving us 100 crossbows or reworking the fucking witch hunter that sucks dick and give to the witch hunters the possibility of having dual wielding crossbows. Make it happen, GGG. Witch hunter, a note for dual wielding crossbows. Make it happen, dude. I just thought that's how it was supposed to be, brother. It is so stupid. At least you notice it, dude. I didn't notice it.
Working is crazy and surely went a long way to making crossbows feel a lot worse to play than they should have been.
Yeah,
now, on top of these changes...
Because one of the things that why people didn't enjoy crossbows as much is not only because they were weaker, it is because they also felt clunky to play. And this is one of the reasons, the reload speed. Now, we will have faster reload speed, which is cool.
We also have the undisclosed skill changes. Whilst there are many changes to crossbow skills in the patch notes, these changes are meaningless without the context of damage scaling numbers.
Exactly.
However, we do know that crossbows were in their agenda for buffs from the recent discussions in interviews. So expect numerical buffs to cross...
They said in interview that crossbows were the lowest performing weapon, even lower than maces, and that it was also the least played weapon, even lower than maces. So... they were both in crossbows. They already said it. So even if we are not seeing the numbers, we know that they are both in crossbows because they said it.
Crossbow skills coming this patch. Buff number 2 is Warrior Ascendancies. Both the Titan and the Warbringer are receiving big changes this patch. Firstly, Titan is keeping hulking form, and it's not being changed at all. So that in its own right is incredible. But Titan is also receiving huge buffs to all of its offensive options, with surprising strength, more damage multiplier versus heavy stunned enemies boosting up from 40% to 50%.
By the way, this is above to Hammer of the Gods, because if you guys didn't know, they reward Hammer of the Gods, and now it is going to be used only on heavy, not only on heavy stun enemies, but you need to heavy stun to get a charge to be able to use the Hammer of the Gods. If you heavy stun a boss to drop the Hammer of the Gods on their faces, they are going to be stunned and it is going to hit 15% with more damage. It is not increased damage. It is more damage, which is insane. Also, you will probably go into the boss room with already a charge of the Hammer of the Gods because you are stunning mobs in your way there, which means you are going to probably have a build that is going to stun a lot. And you are going to do this 50% more damage a lot, basically.
And Prime for Stun got buffed too, so the prerequisite node is better as well. While the other branch has had its chance to proc Aftershocks buff from 20% to 25%, there's also another change to ancestrally boosted slams in the patch notes, with the more damage component going from 20% to 30% more.
Which is also...
And this is the effect that's granted by the Ancestral Empowerment node on the Titan, so that's another buff to Mace Titans.
So yes, they
now,
are,
just like
they
the
are
buffing
slams, maces and slams specifically a lot. Maybe you can get more than one charge. Maybe, probably. It is based on having a new resource called Glory, and you get Glory by heavy stunning enemies. Basically. So maybe you can go over 20 Glory, and if you can go over 20 Glory, then you can stun a fucking lot. Now, if it is capped at 20, then you only have one charge. But if you can keep stunning and getting more than 20 charges, you will be able to drop several at the same time. We will have to wait and see how it actually works.
no skills, we don't have the mace skill numerical changes, but I expect many of these will have significant buffs as well. Meanwhile, for Warbringer, which was arguably one of the weakest ascendancies, this one is also getting some much needed love.
Warbringer was my very first ascendancy, and I thought it was cool. I love it. I love Warbringer. It holds a special place in my heart as my very first ascendancy. And this thing that you see, Torel Charm, what is a Torel Charm? Here, the Torel Charm ascendancy passive skill now has 25% less block chance, and previously it was 35. This at 35 was really strong. Now it will be stronger. Warbringer is going to be really tanky with the block chance. So if you want to play a dude that can get like 90+% block chance, Warbringer is for you. How do you accomplish it? By using the Svalin unique shield. So pro tip, if you want to be immoral in the new season, play Warbringer with the Torel Charm and the Svalin shield.
Biggest buff on this ascendancy is likely Turtle Charm, which is now 25% less block.
He said it outright. He said it outright. Probably the Torel Charm. It is insane. This is one of the buffs. Oh, hey, I am happy with the Warbringer getting buffs, but I was surprised that they are buffing Torel Charm because it was already fucking good. Right? They are buffing like the best node on the ascendancy. It was insane to me, dude.
Instead providing a guard buff on use, which is a massive improvement. This skill is already somewhat decent purely for the Jade stacks, which grant up to 10% additional PDR, but depending on the guard scaling, this can be extremely good defensively. There's also the significant buffs to Warbringer's minions on the Totem branch, which now grant much stronger buffs and have a strange attribute stacking angle, which may or may not be something. And for the Armor Break branch, fully broken armor now provides 20% increased physical damage.
But they still didn't address something very important about the ascendancy for the Warbringer. You will still take the first node to break armor, but you won't take the node behind it. The node behind it, I am going to show you. Warbringer PoE 2-3. This one, the 2, right behind, this is the breaking armor, and the 2 is, you can break enemy armor to below 0. You would think, this is awesome, I will get them to the negative armor. No, since armor sucks, you are not getting that much benefit from this one, so taking them to 0 with the first node is already good enough. So you never take the 2 behind it. And they didn't do anything about it, dude. So you are still going to take one and then take other shit because that one sucks dick. I know that's Giga Chat though. I'll be just following his build for my first character. Dude, the very fact you are playing a warrior Warbringer makes you a Giga Chat right away, even if you are following the build, dude.
Damage taken.
You have to remember there are pussies out there starting with a fucking Sorcerer's Stoneweaver. You understand the difference, dude?
Which is a very significant change. But with all of that said, the Warbringer does have to compete defensively with the new Smith of Kitaba, which is a tall ask.
Exactly.
And
a lot of people that are going to be playing Warrior are going to play the Smith of Kitaba because it is not only the new thing, we like to play the new thing, right? But on top of being the new thing, it apparently is going to be really strong defensively speaking. But the Warbringer is also strong defensively speaking. So it is more of you want to focus on block or you want to focus on elemental resistances. Okay, thanks. I'll take it. Yeah, brother, take it. Take it.
Third and biggest buff of this patch is monsters. Yes, it's not April 1st anymore. This is not a joke. Monsters received the biggest buff in this patch. And I'm not talking about bosses or pinnacle bosses, even though these changes are affecting them. I'm talking about the average monsters you'll encounter in the campaign and in maps. Firstly, monsters will now stun you more often if you haven't been stunned recently, and this will be much more noticeable in the endgame.
We have talked about this before and we will say it again. They want you to build a stun threshold. Because nobody cares about putting a stun threshold in the build. Everybody was going for damage and maybe a little bit of defense. but nobody wants to build a stone threshold. People were ignoring the stone threshold stat both in the gear and in the tree. People were ignoring that shit, so they said, you know what? We are going to make mobs stone harder to make them go for a stone threshold. Brother motherfucker, dude. Nobody wants to build a stone threshold, and I will tell you why, GG. Because it is boring. It is fun to put points in your skill tree that say you do 50% more fire damage. That is cool. That is fun. But if you say to me, hey, get 10% more stone threshold, that is not as fun. That is not as cool. I am just putting this in so the mobs don't fuck me in the ass. But now apparently we will have to do it. Still, we will have to wait and see what happens in the patch or when it releases. Because maybe it won't be that bad. We will have to wait and see. But guys, prepare for having a stone charm on your charms, on your belt, on your shed. A stone charm is really good right now, by the way. I use it. A stone threshold, the spell suppression of PoE 2. Exactly, dude.
They'll also inflict ailments on you more commonly too, as player ailment threshold is being halved baseline, now using 50% of maximum life by default. Monsters will also be significantly harder to freeze, pin, or electrocute in the upcoming patch, so controlling them will...
So yes, with the tactician, we know we won't go for pinning because pin builds slowly.
be more difficult. And there's also new enhanced rare monster modifiers which will exist to make them more difficult and more rewarding. And they're getting smarter. But there's more. Player presence radius has been lowered, so many skills or effects will require being closer to monsters in general, while active blocking has taken quite a big hit, with the downside of being staggered, or what's now known as player-heavy stun, has been increased in duration from 1 second to a ridiculous 3 seconds, which is pretty much a guaranteed death sentence. And if all of that wasn't enough, there was apparently a bug where movement skills weren't applying their slows to players properly if you had high enough attack or cast speed. So some skills are going to be slower as a result, meaning monsters will conversely catch up to you faster. Now, overall, I believe that most players expected significant nerfs in this.
And this is what I told you guys. Like, I wanted the nerfs. But at the same time, I also think that the mobs themselves has to be nerfed. And they are not only not getting nerfed, but they are getting buffed. So this makes the game a lot harder. And what that makes is that it will exacerbate the issue of the meta game being dominated by 3 builds. Because the game will be so hard that people will gravitate towards the 3 builds that make the game easy. Or easier. What you have to do is make it so that people can make their own build and that build can complete the content in the game. And yes, there are 3 or 4 or 5 builds that make the game easy, that make the game a joke, but who cares about that? But to not make the meta so aggravating, you have to make it so that people with not optimized builds can complete the content. And I think that this difficulty will make it so that that is not going to happen. But again, this is a speculation on my part. We will have to actually play the game to see what happens. I am happy with the nerfs to the player, but I think that they should also nerf the game, the monsters themselves. 3 seconds is nuts. Yes, but that is for the heavy stone. You don't get heavy stone usually. Like heavy stone is what you are going to get, for example, when you get knocked down from your raw bird, for example. But the mobs don't heavy stone you. They light stone you, but that is still annoying. Tactician nerf before it's even playable. Exactly, Beatrix, brother. My dude. I can't even play the tactician yet with the pinning bullshit. Well, I closed the tab. And you already nerf the pinning shit. Dude.
Patch, and that's exactly what we're getting. To be fair, the game was very much out of control. But we really don't have the full story at the moment. In fact, most of the story is missing because of those skill numbers and support gems being a complete unknown right now. Which is going to make build planning incredibly difficult as a result. Data miners, please.
Which is good. Guys, let's be honest. Don't you prefer that when we connect to the patch, we will all be discovering what is happening? I think that is cool. And you say, oh, look, this is new. Oh, look, I can use this skill that now it is cooler. Oh, like it is a sense of discovery that everybody will be experimenting. If they release that information with the patch notes, people will be building POVs and being ready for this shit. I like it this way more. I like it this way more. Like having the patch notes was cool because you have some information to not starve without content, but at the same time, you don't have everything in there and you discover stuff with the patch itself. I believe this is a great middle ground where not everything is on the patch itself. You gave me something with the patch notes, but you gave me also new stuff with the actual patch. I believe GG made a great decision doing it like that.
Save us. What are your thoughts on the Dawn of the Hunt patch notes? Let me know by commenting below. And thank you for watching this video. As always, stay tuned and stay safe.
Hey, Drinkcore, dude, great video as always. I love Drinkcore's videos. I think he's fucking cool, dude. And this was, again, a really fucking cool video. Made us talk about a lot about the patch. I think it is going to be an awesome patch. I know people are dooming because of the nerfs. But again, we don't have the full picture. I think it will be really fucking cool. And of course, I will be playing. It will be fun. It is a game. And at the end of the day, if you really, really hate it, Last Epoch is going to release a patch in 2 weeks. So there you go. There you go. But I bet that you won't hate it. You won't hate it. The game will be good. I bet, brother, that the game will be good, dude. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are fucking awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever because this is just a ride.